Hello and welcome to episode 97 of Glitch Report. My name is GnittWitt. Thank you so much for stopping by, saying hi, kicking it with me today on the stream of dreams, the show of shows. Oh my goodness. You can find everything that I do over at my Linktree, linktree.com/GnittWitt. That is GnittWitt. Twitch, Twitter, YouTube, Instagram, TikTok, Blue Sky. You know what, you love it. I am there. Did I say everything? Yeah, I probably said everything. It doesn't matter because you're here with me now, whether you are watching it on YouTube, where most of you tend to view the podcast. You might be hanging out in the Twitch chat. If you are, hello, hey, hi, thank you. And if you have me in your ears, like exclusively in your ears, it's like that episode of Family Guy where Meg, swears off having traditional sex. And spoilers for this episode of Family Guy that's probably 20 years old, I have to guess. Everything's at least 20 years old now. Actually, no, don't. I shouldn't say that because that you're gonna get in trouble. You can get in trouble thinking like that. Anyways, the point of the reference I was gonna make, much like a Family Guy reference, it goes fucking nowhere. But at some point, Meg decides that having ear sex is not the same thing as having traditional sex, and there you go. There's your episode of Family Guy reference for the week. I should have like a music stinger that's like, episode of Family Guy reference for the week. God, who would even listen to this podcast? Anyways, hello, hi, my name is GnittWitt. Thank you so much for hanging out. I have been working on a little bit of content, a little bit of videos over on the TikTok. I dropped a couple of videos if you hadn't had a chance to check them out. Last week I did a kind of forgotten games of the last couple of generations video. If you hadn't had a chance to check that out, go ahead and do so. On that video, we talked about Street Fighter, the movie, the game, as well as PlayStation All-Stars Battle Royale, which is a Smash Brothers-like game before there was a Multiversus, and a couple other games if you get the chance to do so. Also did a video on Concord. That is the PS5 5-on-5 hero shooter that was announced at State of Play. We're going to talk State of Play in just a moment. We're going to kick things off with State of Play because it is the oldest news I have to discuss with you today. So I figured it only makes sense to just get that out of the way first. Also did a video on CD Projekt Red. If you remember, we talked about how, CD Projekt Red and Remedy and other developers are kind of working on multiple games at the same time. The idea is that, they're going to staff up for one big game and then scale down as that project wraps up, move those folks on to another game, so on and so forth. And I got some interesting comments from folks on that CD Projekt Red video specifically. And it was from, it seems like it came from, how would I put it? I don't want to say angry people. That being said, I don't mind, if having video game discussions with angry people, that's fine. There's a lot of things about video games to be passionate about. There are a lot of things about video games to be angry about. Maybe not super, super angry, but I'm not here to tell people one way or the other, where they should put their emotional energy. I would just say that if you spend every waking moment seething about video games, oh, I can't believe Multiversus. Oh, I fucking hate Call of Duty. You should just find peace. I don't know what to tell you, but if you spend every waking moment mad about video games, maybe video games aren't for you. That being said, some people in the comments for that CD Projekt Red video were asking questions such as, will this, new initiative from CD Projekt prevent their games from being buggy, broken, and bad, a la something like what we saw with Cyberpunk 2077? And the answer is no. Like these companies that are in the business of producing multiple games, working on multiple projects at the same time, they're doing it for money reasons more than anything. Yes, there may be quality control and things like that in place, but at the end of the day, like CD Projekt are going, and any developer for the most part, are going to make a game as good as it can possibly be. Not for it to be the best game possible when it releases, but for it to be the best game that can possibly be released enough for it to sell. So just keep that in mind, right? And then also a reminder that the video game industry is and always has been a money grab. You think about the days of the arcade and you think about how easy it would be to put, say what you will about Call of Duty or any other game coming out there right now being, $70 US, but it wasn't hard. Even, I mean, I'm referencing a time before I was born, which is most of the times leading up to now. That being said, it wasn't hard to spend a lot of money at the arcade and then have not much to show for it other than memories and, greasy pizza hands and things like that. But, like you could have easily spent a lot of money at the arcade and then not had a game to take home and play. And then the other thing that people kind of mentioned is that CD Projekt should focus on, and these other game developers that are focusing on multiple projects at the same time, that these folks should focus on one project and make it good. And at the end of the day, like, it's just the nature of the beast is, it's a very hit driven business. It's a very, money focused business. And these companies are, they have a requirement from their shareholders to make as much money as possible, infinite growth in the world of economics that we live in. So just a reminder that, these AAA game developers are not necessarily your friend. And if a game seems like a bad deal, don't buy it. We live in a world where digital games are going on sale all the time. I know that, at the end of the day, you own a digital game, but you don't actually own it. And I'm not here to argue about ownership. I'm just saying, hey there, Delilah. At the end of the day, if a game seems like a bad deal, don't spend $70, $80, $90 on it, or don't spend $40 on it. In the case of Concord, how do you like that segment? Segments don't really work when you point them out, but anyways, Concord was shown off at the State of Play that happened on Thursday, just after the podcast last week. And the thing to kind of note is that it is a very lean year for PlayStation this year in terms of new games that are going to be arriving. We've seen lean years from other companies and other developers, and this year it's Sony's year to not have a lot of stuff, kind of out the door for 2024. And I would say, like, to some extent that is okay. I mean, Microsoft hasn't been completely destroyed, and they've had a lot of lean years. But Sony kicked off the State of Play, showing off the 5 versus 5 multiplayer hero shooter Concord, and it is a $40. The price has been confirmed. It's a $40 multiplayer game from Firewalk Studios, and that is coming out on PC and PS5 August 23rd. However, pre-order, and you will get to join the beta in July, if that is your thing. Now, what is a 5 versus 5 hero shooter? Well, it is a shooter in which you are assuming the role of these different characters that have unique abilities, strengths, and weaknesses. So the idea being that on this team, people are going to be playing different roles as part of the multiplayer match. So you might have a guy who's a big tank. He can take damage. In the video, they showed like this big robot walking in front of a guy who was injured and was trying to heal himself as the big robot took a bunch of damage and stuff and so on. But the other thing about this game is that, they have quite a bit of story in it, or at least they have quite a bit of characters in it. The trailer showed off a cutscene showcasing a ragtag group of guns for hire, these kind of mercenary characters. And Firewalk Studio says that every week when you log into the game, there will be new cutscenes and new videos showcasing the characters of the game. They also said that they plan on having a variety of characters that have different weapons and play styles and stuff like that as the game is released. But I don't think Concord looks very good. We're going to run down everything shown at State of Play, so don't worry about that. But I didn't think Concord looked amazing. It felt like a bad mix of Guardians of the Galaxy in terms of its kind of. Well, I think Guardians of the Galaxy is funny. Like, I think the movies are funny. I think the game is funny. I think the world is just, there's a lot of humor, to be found in the world of Guardians of the Galaxy. I love Rocket Raccoon, and I love Groot, and Drax is funny, and all that. I like it. I like Guardians of the Galaxy. I feel like I need to almost defend my position on Guardians of the Galaxy, but I feel like a lot of people need to defend their position on Disney properties these days to be like, I still like Star Wars. Anyways, I like Guardians of the Galaxy, and I don't care that much for hero shooters, so I'm at least 50% disinterested on the premise of this game out of the gate. But the other thing to note is that it doesn't, like, the trailer. Go watch the trailer for the cutscene. There's a lot of setups for jokes in this game, and then there are no jokes. Like, I don't know. Maybe it's this idea of like this kind of smarmy, sarcastic, sense of humor. But usually when you're dealing with sarcasm and snark as a, kind of comedic trope, there's usually a joke. There's usually like a pot of gold at the end of that rainbow. And I just watched that cutscene just shaking my head being like, where's the joke? Like, what is the point of any of this? And then you get to it and it's a 5-on-5 first person shooter where maybe they're cracking jokes while you're shooting the other team or whatnot. But I don't have a lot of interest in hero based first person shooters. I want to play as a very versatile character when I'm playing a shooting game. I want to be able to blow up stuff however I see fit. I want to be able to use any and all tool to get the job done. And in a world where this game is very much focused on, hey, you have a predefined set role, a set class, so to speak, I just don't have any interest. And then if I did, I'd probably go play a game like Overwatch 2, which is free, and I would save myself $40, or I could put $40 towards a battle pass or a skin or whatever. And that's the other thing is that like this game definitely is going to have those types of multiplayer hooks in them in terms of battle passes, live service, cosmetics, DLC, all that stuff. And from what I've seen, Concord is just not the thing that I would invest any time or money into. So it's an unfortunate scenario where I think if this game was free to play, maybe it would have a chance. But at $40, I would rather spend it on I already own Helldivers. But for $40, I'd rather put that towards a game like Helldivers or any and all games instead. Because if you spent $40 on Concord and 6 months later people aren't playing it, well, now you're out $40 and you have to go convince your friend group or whoever you play multiplayer games with to move on to something else when maybe you should have played something else entirely the entire time. God of War Ragnarok is coming to PC in September. That is out September 19th. They showed off some of the PC focused features like super sampling and unlocked frame rates and ultra wide monitor support and all that stuff. Plus it will have the Valhalla DLC included. That Valhalla DLC is free. It will be included out of the gate. The hilariously titled Dynasty Warrior Origins has been announced. Finally, we will learn all about what it means to be in and around the Yellow Turban Rebellion, the chaos of the Three Kingdoms and all that stuff. They've made so many. The reason this is funny is because they've made so many Dynasty Warriors games. They have made you think there's a lot of Final Fantasy games or whatever? No, dog. Like they have made just an absurd amount of Dynasty Warriors games. So the idea that in 2025, yes, by the way, this game coming in 2025, they will have a game with the name Origins in the title is just hilarious in my opinion. Open world RPG Infinity Nikki is coming out in a beta sometime in Q3 2024. And open world RPG is one way to describe it. You could also describe it, as a dress up adventure game. You play as this character. I believe her name is Nikki. Yeah, her name's Nikki. That makes sense. Why would it be called Infinity Nikki? Gotta get it right. If the character's name wasn't Nikki. Anyways, you play as this little anime lady, Nikki, and you can put on various costumes and dress up, and then you run around and explore an open world. I didn't see a lot of combat in the game, but I did see a lot of like traversal and jumping and stuff in it. So, listen, I'm a man who would, listen, I thought Infinity Nikki didn't look so bad. I gotta be honest. I was like, okay, cute anime lady playing dress up, running around. I can maybe see myself doing that. Though as of right now, I believe it is PS5 only, but I could be wrong. Yeah, it just says PS5. Well, that's fine. PS5 players, they deserve it. Where the Winds Meet is a martial arts adventure game that is coming to PS5. Set in the Ten Kingdoms era, where the winds meet, have players taking the role of a swordsman who will play a critical role in influencing the outcome of the conflict. Well, that is about as specific as it's going to get. Ballad of Antara is a free-to-play action RPG releasing next year. That is coming to PS5. They also showed off some VR stuff. Who cares? Listen, I'm not here to pick on VR. They announced an Alien game, Alien Rogue Incursion. The frame rate on it didn't look very good. Like, it looked kind of buggy and messed up. To be honest, like, there's just something about the game's not finished and it looks rough as a result. But hey, if you want to play an Alien game in VR, more power to you. And then the people that made The Walking Dead Saints and Sinners announced a new VR game as well. Sorry, I had to mute my microphone and sneeze because I'm allergic to VR. Marvel Rivals, not Marvel's Rivals, which would be DC Comics. Marvel Rivals is a superhero team-focused player versus player shooter. It is a hero shooter. It is very, very much like something like Overwatch. However, they have announced that game will be free to play. Closed beta set for July. It will also get a PS5 release, coming to Mac and PC and PS5. In the trailer, they show, like, Venom using his abilities and stuff to eat an enemy, and then, Adam, whatever his name is, Adam Carolla. I don't know. I forget what the guy's name is. They showed a bunch of new characters, and then you're getting, I think PlayStation 5 people get the exclusive Spider-Man costume, I believe. So anyways, Storm, bunch of other characters running around a battlefield, blowing each other up. Again, I think it looks a little more interesting just because it's free to play, maybe a little bit easier to get into compared to something like Concord, which would cost you $40. They showed another trailer for Until Dawn. That is the Until Dawn remaster, remake, whatever you want to call it. Fall 2024 for PC and PS5. Path of Exile 2. Path of Exile 2 looks great. It's coming in early access in late 2024. That is the follow-up to the free-to-play, kind of top-down action RPG dungeon crawler. Very much, for shorthand, very much like a Diablo. Path of Exile is still out now if you'd like to play it on whatever console and you choose to play it on. It's free to play. Path of Exile 2 looks great. They also announced that couch co-op will be coming as well. So if you want to get the friends together and sit on a couch and play video games like we used to do back in the day, perhaps you will enjoy just that. Silent Hill. They also had a separate Silent Hill transmission, an event just focused on Silent Hill 2 after this. I did not watch that because when I watched the Silent Hill 2 remake trailer, which finally has a release date of October 8th, of course it was going to come out around the time of Halloween. Are you kidding me? When I saw this trailer, I don't like games don't have to all be the same thing. Games don't have to all be the same thing. And what I mean by that is, I don't think it's necessarily fair to compare, the Dead Space remake or the Resident Evil 2, 3, or 4 remake to Silent Hill. What I can say is that if you haven't played one of those games today, now, if you've not played those games and you were like, I would like to play an old horror game remade for the modern world, based on everything that I've seen, I don't think you should go run out and buy Silent Hill 2 remake when it comes out. I think their focus on combat, I think some of the art and design graphically, it just doesn't look that impressive. It looks like a game that is made on a bit of a budget. And then you look at the price of it and it's a full price game. And, listen, if people stopped buying games on day one, the game industry would be in more trouble than it already is. right? I think we can all agree on that. If people stop buying games day one, the game industry would be in a real tough place. However, they already know that, like we just talked about this, it just needs to be good enough to sell. And I think in the case of the long suffering people that are these Silent Hill fans, I almost don't know if this is enough to get them excited. The other thing is that people have been shitting on the developer left and right. Blooper Team are the people working on the Silent Hill 2 remake. When you look up the Blooper Team kind of credits, it doesn't show an amazing track record. It really doesn't. They made, if we go from 2016, they made Layers of Fear. That is the walk around first person horror game. They made Observer, which is a walk around first person cyberpunk horror game. I actually think Observer is really neat. Observer is cool. Of all the games you could check out from them, I think Observer is neat. Then they followed that up with Layers of Fear 2. Again, Layers of Fear 1 came out in 2016. I think still novel for that kind of walk around, no combat style horror game. It really just, like, Layers of Fear. First of all, if you never played Layers of Fear, they are basically like a haunted house simulator because there is no combat. There is a little bit of puzzles and stuff like that, but you are walking around getting scared. They made that Blair Witch game, a game again that also didn't really set the world on fire. They made The Medium, a game that did not set the world on fire. They then remade Layers of Fear, and it, was like, okay, we get it. You've made a lot of walking around. Blair Witch, for those wondering, Blair Witch, also a first person horror, kind of adventure game with very little combat in it. So I just feel like if we remove Silent Hill from the list, and they said to me, and someone said to me, GnittWitt, who would you want to remake a Silent Hill 2? It would not be these folks. And I don't want to take that as to say that there's no potential for Silent Hill 2 remake to be good. It's just that these were never going to be my first choice when it comes to people that would remake Silent Hill 2. That is to say, of course, that, they do have a template they have to follow. They do have, kind of a structure to work with. They can't just make it all weird. But from what I've seen of Silent Hill 2 remake, I have very low expectations. Very low expectations. I would also say, and I'm not trying to pick on these games. I know people out there just love them. But look what happened with the Alone in the Dark game. Long delayed. That demo comes out. Some people are like, oh, cool. Some people are like, not as cool. And then it comes out and it bombs, from a sales perspective. It doesn't do amazing critically. And now it's a scenario where we'll just probably never get another Alone in the Dark Alone in the Dark game for some time. But hey, it's amazing that, the good folks over at Embracer Group were able to put out any game, let alone a mediocre one in the case of Alone in the Dark. I just hope that that's not the same fate with Silent Hill, because it's been a very long time since we got a Silent Hill game that was worth a shit. I would actually just like to point out something with Silent Hill. And again, I refuse to want to pick on these folks, but I just want to point something out. So what I've done is I pulled up a list of the Silent Hill games, and I would just like to point something out. 1999, Silent Hill. 2001, Silent Hill 2. 2003, Silent Hill 3. 2004, Silent Hill 4, The Room. Okay? And that would have been 2004, Silent Hill 4, The Room, a PS2 game. Then in 2007, we get Silent Hill Origins, which also came to PlayStation 2. That would have been in 08. 08 Origins would have come to PS2. All right. Then we have in 08 Silent Hill Homecoming, which came to PlayStation 3. Then we have a bunch of games that were either spin-offs or remakes. I'm forgetting a game. 2008 Silent Hill Homecoming, 2012 Silent Hill Downpour. And you'll notice something in that we also had Silent Hill Shattered Memories. We had some remakes and remasters of games as well. But you'll notice that nobody gave a shit about Silent Hill after 2004. For better or for worse, right? I'm not here to pick on it, but like no one cares about Origins, no one cares about Homecoming, no one cares about Downpour. Shattered Memories was that first person game on Wii. Was it first person? No, I don't think it was first person. I could be wrong. Anyways, people like Shattered Memories, which did eventually leave the Wii and come to PS2, but that was a 2010 game on PS2. That HD collection that they did, Silent Hill HD collection, was not received super well because of how fucked up the frame rate and the graphics were on that remaster. Of the series, we have Silent Hill: The Short Message, just terrible. Just a terrible game. We have what else? Silent Hill Ascension, which is that like interactive media experience that also bombed. Book of Memories came to PlayStation Vita in 2012. That's my way of saying that like they keep making Silent Hill games, and God bless them for trying, because someone out there, it probably is happy with it. I'm sure someone out there is like, I actually think Homecoming's pretty good, and I think Downpour is all right. But I would not be surprised if by the time Silent Hill 2 remake comes out, we're all sitting around saying that the Silent Hill we know and love has been dead since 2004. That's all I'm going to say. That's all I'm going to say. Don't shoot the messenger. I'm not convinced about Silent Hill 2. And when you look at the history of Silent Hill, again, there's nothing wrong with liking Silent Hill. There's nothing wrong with it. Okay. I like games, and there are games that I like that other people don't like. There's nothing wrong with it. And there's nothing wrong with being hopeful for Silent Hill. I'm just pointing out that the history of Silent Hill, both in terms of what it's been like since Silent Hill 4 and the history of Bloober Team, leads me to believe that what I'm seeing with Silent Hill 2 is not amazing, because it doesn't look amazing, and that I don't have a lot of hope for the game. But hey, I could be wrong. And again, there's nothing wrong with liking Silent Hill. And if you like the 2 remake, fucking more power to you. All right, go fly a kite or something. I don't know. Monster Hunter Wilds. Everyone is horny for the main lady in Monster Hunter Wilds. It's this lady who's got like not seven. Like this lady's got like 4 different hairdos going on, and she's supposed to be one of the main characters in it. Monster Hunter, if you don't know Monster Hunter, it's an open world monster hunting game. I don't know what else it's a game that is very much focused on what is basically big boss battles. And you are out there in the open world hunting and fighting monsters, and you're, taking that monster, the monster parts, and using it to make more armor and all that stuff. Which is cool. That game is coming out, I believe next year. Yes, 2025 PS5, but I think it's coming to other stuff as well. And then they ended the state of play talking about Astrobot. Astrobot is the new game. It is the follow-up to that Astrobot game that came out for free on PS5. If you never gone and played Astro's Playroom on PS5, like go play that game, because that is one of the best PS5 games out there. An amazing collection of third-person platforming that also really takes advantage of that PS5 DualSense controller. They've now blown that out into a full game that is coming out September 6th exclusively on PS5. They are saying that it's going to be featuring 80 levels spanning more than 6 galaxies as they look for Astro's Missing Crew. That is the follow-up to the 2020's Astro Playroom, which again is free on PS5. If you had a chance to check it out. It's also a love letter to the PlayStation's kind of history and past in a lot of sense. And in the new one, it seems like a lot of the characters that you're meeting are very much inspired by, like, you know, God of War and Parappa the Rapper and Nathan Drake and Uncharted and all that stuff, which is really neat. Astrobot was probably the best looking thing on that entire state of play, in my opinion. I thought Astrobot is exactly what I would want or expect from a follow-up to Astrobot. I just think also it's amazing that it was a free game on PS5. Now we're getting a real sequel of it. I think that looks really awesome. I also thought Path of Exile looked great. Path of Exile 2 looks awesome. I'm looking forward to checking that out. And I also thought, honestly, I thought that Infinity Nikki is like not the worst thing I've seen. I think it, you know, dress up, run around, jumping stuff looks cool to me. Oh, but overall, I was pretty disappointed in the state of play. I was also expecting them to have a proper announcement for when we're going to get a real, kind of showcase from them around something like Summer Game Fest. They did not announce that. So I really think that what we see is what we get for Sony for some time. Maybe they do something toward the end of the summertime, maybe in August or something. But what they saw, what you just heard from me is what they showed, and I'm not super impressed. I know a lot of people assume that people aren't impressed by a lack of a big announcements. Oh, they didn't showcase Ghost of Tsushima 2. They didn't announce a new Gran Turismo. They didn't show Horizon 3. They didn't show whatever Naughty Dog thing. And it's like, no, I'm not saying they needed any of those games. I just think that it would have been cool if the games that they showed looked more interesting, or they had at least one surprise, because even Astrobot leaked prior to the announcement. So really, it's just like a whole lot of like same old stuff that you've already, kind of grown to expect from Sony. And I was a little disappointed in that regard. But if you remember that this is going to be and has already been a pretty lean year for Sony, that I think just goes to show that this shouldn't have been a surprise. And again, updates to Concord, they've confirmed $40 US price for the game. Pre-orders are going live, I believe, this week if they're not already up. We're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we got more news. Stick around. We will be right back. All right. Hello. Thank you so much for returning with me to the show. We got some more news to talk about the Xbox Game Showcase. There's been some rumors. It's a little weird, but some rumors around what you can expect from it. Not in terms of individual games, but kind of bigger picture. And they're saying right now that the Xbox Game Showcase could run for 2 hours and include 30 games, which, for context, the PlayStation State of Play was about 30 minutes from last week. So, that just kind of gives you some context in terms of what Microsoft has to bring compared to Sony. Though that also doesn't factor in the Call of Duty thing that's going to be happening after the Xbox Game Showcase. So it seems like in one way, shape, or form, Xbox has a lot of stuff to talk about. A renamed Dragon Age Dreadwolf may also be shown at the event. We're going to talk about Dragon Age Dreadwolf towards the end of the show because it is that new name. That new name is really bad. That new name is terrible. Everyone's favorite giant bomb reporter, Jeff Grubb, was speaking about the event on Wednesday's Kinda Funny Games cast. I'm getting this news story from Video Games Chronicles. Shout out to Video Games Chronicles. Jeff Grubb goes on to say, I'm not going to spoil anything, but the numbers I'm hearing is about 2 hours and about 30 games, and at least a handful of those games that we've never heard of before. Taking place on June 9th at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, the Xbox Game Showcase will be the first such event to include titles from Xbox Game Studio, Bethesda, and Activision Blizzard. Quote, and I think there will be around 5 games that we haven't heard about before, and that's from across all their verticals. Grubb said before going on to tease showing for BioWare's Dragon Age. He then kind of joked about how Dragon Age Dreadwolf won't be there, but that's because they're changing the name of Dragon Age Dreadwolf, among other things. You can expect a new Gears of War, a new Doom, as well as Call of Duty 6, Black Ops 6, among other things. Remedy is supposed to be revealing its Alan Wake 2 Night Springs DLC at Summer Game Fest. The paid expansion pack for Alan Wake 2 will be based on the video game Alan Wake's fictional TV show. So in Alan Wake, I want to say Night Springs is in, they reference Night Springs in Alan Wake 1, Control, and Alan Wake 2, maybe not Control. But basically Night Springs, first of all, they basically filmed a bunch of episodes of fake TV for Alan Wake, and it's called Night Springs, and it's basically the Twilight Zone. They basically have Remedy wearing their influences on their sleeve incredibly hard by making fake TV that you can watch in Alan Wake that is basically the Twilight Zone with references to Twin Peaks thrown in it. That's why, if you remember me talking about Alan Wake last year, I was like, man, I got to really watch Twin Peaks. I think it's on Paramount Plus. Do I have to get Paramount Plus now? Oh, maybe I have to get Paramount Plus. Anyways, Night Springs is the fictional TV show that is an imitation of Twilight Zone and Twin Peaks, and that is going to be the basis for the DLC, which I think sounds great. I don't own the DLC. I haven't bought the DLC. I didn't get the season pass or any of that stuff, so I don't know if I'll be playing it, but I'm always happy when Remedy does work. So I got no problems with this. I hope it is good, but they haven't officially revealed it yet. This is an interesting one. The Red Cross has partnered with Tetris to encourage U.S. blood donation. Donors offered an exclusive Tetris plus Red Cross themed shirt, and it is a dope shirt. This shirt is dope as hell. I know we talked about old video game shirts last week. Oh man, I love this shirt. For those that are listening to it, it says Tetris on it in the Tetris font, in kind of a rainbow colors. It then shows a box with a game of Tetris being played in it, kind of like halfway up the grid, and then the Red Cross logo kind of in the middle of that play field, as if it's going down to the into the play field, which is awesome. However, that is an illegal piece of Tetris because all Tetris pieces are just 4 squares and the Red Cross is 5. The Red Cross is 5, but who am I to judge? And then it says underneath says give blood and then American Red Cross. It's a dope shirt. If you have the ability to give blood to Red Cross and stuff like that, you can. Donors will also be automatically entered for a chance to win a trip for 2 to New York to meet Tetris creator Alexei Patjanov. I butchered that name. I'm sorry. They put out a statement saying, the Red Cross is thrilled to partner with a brand as iconic as Tetris to encourage the public to give blood. Said the executive director of donors and sponsor marketing for the American Red Cross. The cross-generational appeal of Tetris makes it a perfect fit for us in helping to reach audiences young and more mature to encourage them to take action and roll up their sleeves to help save lives. This is also in collaboration with the game's 40th anniversary. Last month, the American convenience store chain 7-Eleven partnered with Tetris on a line of merchandise, including apparel and a handheld featuring an officially licensed game. I believe it's like a Slurpee cup that you can play Tetris on. Anyways, that's super cool. If you'd like to give blood, I know you may not be in the US, but if you can give blood, you can. They would appreciate it. And go play some Tetris. Dead by Daylight Studio Behavior Interactive is laying off up to 95 employees. That is about 7% of its staff, most of them based in Montreal. They say in the face of unprecedented competition, Behavior said it has renewed its focus on its historical strengths in horror gaming, its production expertise, and its 30-year history of providing exceptional service to its development partners. It added, these strengths have inspired clear ambitions for the company's future. Lead in horror, lead in service, and explore the possibility of location-based entertainment. To pursue this clarified vision, Behavior will implement multiple strategic changes to its corporate structure, improving the distinction between its product, production, business development, and marketing resources. Behavior has also reportedly laid off around 45 people in Montreal in January. Of course, their biggest game is Dead by Daylight, which was released in 2016 and has surpassed 60 million players in 2022. A recent Dead by Daylight 8th anniversary broadcast was used to announce Dungeons & Dragons and Castlevania coming to Dead by Daylight, plus a 2 versus 8 game mode that pits 2 killers against 8 survivors on a much larger map. The Dungeons & Dragons chapter launched last week, while more information on Castlevania will be revealed in August. They are also working with the folks over at Supergiant. Is it Supergiant? Is it Supermassive? I always get the games the two confused. Supergiant Games. No, I bet Supergiant. I got it wrong. They're also Behavior Interactive are also working with Supermassive Games. Those are the folks that did Until Dawn and The Quarry. They're working on the Casting of Frank Stone game, though we don't know too much about that game just yet. Just Cause maker Avalanche announces 50 layoffs and the closure of 2 studios. That is roughly 9% of its workforce being cut, with its New York and Montreal offices shutting down. They put out a statement saying, this is an exceptionally difficult decision, but we believe it's necessary to ensure a stable and sustainable future for the company. Our focus is now on supporting all Avalanchers through this challenging time. We're grateful for the invaluable contributions for those leaving and remain committed to creating incredible gaming experiences for our players. Avalanche celebrated its 20th anniversary in 2023, and it specializes in open world games as well in open world games. If you don't know Avalanche, they are the folks that make the Just Cause games. They also developed the 2015 Mad Max game, and they co-developed Rage 2 with id Software. It only announced plans to open its Canadian office last October, following the acquisition of Monster Closet, which is a Montreal-based studio founded in 2021 by a team of veteran game developers with a shared history of working at Ubisoft. Avalanche is currently working on Contraband, which is set to be published by Xbox Game Studios for console and PC. The new IP, which is billed as a co-op smuggler's paradise set in a fictional world of 1970s Bayan, will reportedly be focused on vehicular combat, which makes sense. There was a decent amount of vehicular combat in Mad Max as well as Rage 2. Summer Game Fest is next year. Next year. I mean, God willing, it's next year as well, but it is also next week. So with Summer Game Fest next week, Jeff Keighley's kind of been out there attempting to temper expectations. And I will just say, and I'm not trying to do Jeff Keighley's job for him, but the lower, and this applies for everything in life. If I may give you a nickel's worth of free advice, the lower your expectations are for literally anything, the less likely you are to be disappointed, which is also the title of my sex tape. That being said, Summer Game Fest is reportedly going to be largely focused on announced games coming this year. So don't expect a whole lot of 2025, God forbid 2026, assuming the sun doesn't kill us all, type shit. So that's what kind of Jeff Keighley's been out there doing. The show will begin on June 7th at 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time for about 2 hours. Jeff Keighley went out there and said, one of the things you'll see with the show this week is we really tried to program some unexpected things from smaller teams and independent studios into the show as well, alongside some big blockbuster games and franchises that you will see in the show as well. I think it's going to be generally a little bit quieter this summer in terms of crazy new announcements and shocking surprises and things like that. There will definitely be new announcements, but this show is largely focused on, I think, existing games that have new updates for fans, just in terms of level setting. He added later in a live stream. He did a live stream where he talked about this stuff. He said the Game Awards has a lot of usually big surprises and big new reveals. This show is it's largely focused on announced stuff. There are absolutely new game announcements throughout the show, but just to level set, it's not all brand new stuff. It tends to be things that are coming out later this year. And I'm going to say this, I know he's got some more things. We'll read some more quotes from him in a moment, but yeah, that's what it's been like for the last few years. The last few years, it has felt like if you want to hear about new game announcements, go watch the Game Awards. If you want to be excited for games coming out in the next 6 to 12 months, maybe less than 12 months, then the Summer Game Fest is for you. And the reason for that is because, these companies are using Jeff Keighley's show as a marketing vehicle for getting people excited for the big releases coming out, in September, October, November, right? A lot of big AAA games, still as far between as they are these days. A lot of those games are still aiming for that, before Christmas time, before the winter holidays type sales. And that means that they have just enough time to get the game out the door between June and then, right? So in a scenario where they're doing the Game Awards, everyone went out and bought Call of Duty already. Everyone went out and bought the new Madden, the new FIFA, whatever. So what can they look forward to in the next year? Well, that's when the Game Awards comes around and it's like, let's celebrate the game. Well, let's try. Whether they succeed in it or not, the Game Awards tries to celebrate the last year in gaming, as well as getting people hyped for new games. And that's when you typically see the next year release announcements, the 2 years away release announcements. Keighley goes on to say, and there are things that we'll announce that will come out later this year that haven't been announced yet, but this is not a show that has a lot of coming in 2026 or 2027 or teasers for games that are years and years out. I'm trying to think, every time is different, but that's generally what I would say just in terms of expectation setting. I'm going to tell you something right now. I'm going to get a little bit closer to the mic so you know that I'm being serious, okay? I'm going to be watching a lot of these announcements next year. Sorry, I keep saying next year. I'm going to be watching a lot of these events next week. If I see a trailer for a game and I'm like, wow, that game looks really cool, and then I see that the game's not going to be out until 2027, I'm going to be incredibly disappointed. I know I sound cool and calm right now, maybe even a little soothing, but if I watch a trailer for a game and it says coming in 2027, I'm going to lose my goddamn mind. So if Jeff Keighley wants to go out there and, set those expectations, I say more power to him. However, this is just for the Summer Game Fest showcase, right? Ubisoft could announce 2028 games until the cows come home. Same with Microsoft and all those other companies. So just for what Jeff Keighley's getting at, this is his showcase, his games, and that is going to be his plan going forward. What else did he talk about? Let's see here. Jeff Keighley said fans will get a big update on what's coming next for Pal World. Atlas will also take the stage to discuss Metaphor, ReFantazio, and Capcom will show off more Monster Hunter Wilds. Jeff Keighley said that there won't be a new Grand Theft Auto 6 trailer, no Kingdom Hearts 4, no Wolf Among Us 2, no Metal Gear Solid, Delta, Snake Eater. I'm assuming no Hollow Knight Silk Song, but we shall see. But, he's kind of out there trying to temper expectations, and to which I say more power to him. the Destiny 2, the final shape, that expansion has come out. And it launched with a bunch of issues where people were missing crucial story cutscenes and were unable to connect to the game. And the Destiny developer Bungie wanted to put out a statement saying they're sorry. They're sorry. They put out a statement saying, we built the final shape to be an exciting, cathartic, story-driven adventure for everyone to enjoy. Basically, the game launched in such a broken, fucked up state that people were missing cutscenes. They were kicked out of the game mid-activity. You would be disconnected from the online servers mid-cutscene. And some people wrote on Reddit saying I had missed 2 entire cutscenes and had to look them up because the game kicked me out of them. But anyways, the good folks at Bungie just wanted to say they're sorry. They put out a statement saying, we're truly sorry for connection issues and instability getting in the way of that experience, and we promise to keep working until these issues are resolved. I would just like to point out that Destiny is like a 10-year-old game at this point, and I'm so fucking sick of these long-running online games launching in broken, busted ways. I am. I'm so sick of it. I don't even play Destiny 2 anymore. I don't even care. I don't even play Destiny 2 anymore. But like the whole thing about the final shape is they put the word final in it. I'm not saying it's the last expansion from Destiny, but this is supposed to be the like big, lead up to all of the story stuff. And to have people skip cutscenes because the game disconnected them, it's horseshit. It's absolute trash. Okay. And I have no patience for that shit in my life now. Like I don't even have the patience to play XDefiant and Multiversus. Very different games, I know. But like, imagine still like if you think like, Silent Hill fans are long suffering, and they are, I would say Destiny fans are getting pretty close to being long suffering as well. And the idea that you're going to miss out on crucial moments of the story because they fucked up their game, man, just inexcusable, like inexcusable. And I get it. I get it. Making games is hard. We were just talking about game developers losing their jobs at Behavior and Avalanche, right? And I hope all those folks land on their feet at those studios. I hope it all works out. I know Bungie was cutting people left and right. I hope all those folks land on their feet. And that isn't me to say that like, I don't wish the best for people that are still at those studios, still working under whatever conditions they are. But what the fuck are we doing? What are we doing? I get so annoyed at this idea that, every online game is going to be broken, right? Whether it's a brand new game, whether it's an update to an old game, it's just perpetually broken, right? And the fact of the matter is that if people did not buy and play the final shape day one at launch, Bungie again would be in a really rough spot when it comes to their relationship with Sony and Sony's relationship with their shareholders. Because the shareholders are going to say, well, why aren't people buying Destiny 2? And it's like, oh, because it keeps fucking breaking every time people go to launch it the day a new expansion comes out. Right? Like, and I've talked about this before in terms of whether it be an online game or an offline single player game, but like the best time to play Cyberpunk 2077 is now, not when it came out and they were charging you full price for it, when you were basically paying to beta test the fucking game. But it's now. And guess what? When you buy it now, it's on sale and it's cheaper. So I say, don't support these developers. Don't support these companies. If you are that upset at the idea of playing a broken and busted game on day one, when it is at its most expensive, when it is full price, and see what happens. See what changes. Because, I'm just so grossed out. I'm so grossed out. But maybe this next news story will be less gross. This is a quick one. Do you have a PlayStation 5? If so, you should look at the box for that, assuming you have the box. Look at the box for your PlayStation 5. Does it have the word 8K on it? Have you ever played a game in 8K on your I'm saying 8K, not AK. I'm not talking about the assault rifle. I'm talking about 8,000 resolution. Do you have a PlayStation box that has the word 8K on it? Well, Sony has begun to remove the 8K claim from PlayStation 5 boxes because they realize that A, no one is playing anything in 8K, and B, the PlayStation 5 has never actually supported 8K resolution anyways. Now you might be wondering why it is that they're doing that. Well, a couple of reasons. Sony had started branding TVs that support 8K and 120 frames per second as PS5 ready as early as July 2020. However, no one is buying 8K TVs. And honestly, if we know anything about TV, kind of quality and resolution and stuff like that, you're better off with a higher quality display, something like a QLED or something like that. You're better off with 4K, 120 frames per second. You're better off with HDR and Dolby Vision and all that stuff. You do not need, twice the resolution for fucking anything because most things aren't even in 4K anyways. Now, there's a game that came out that supported 8K 60 frames per second. It was called The Tourist, and it came out in October of 2021. However, Sony never activated the 8K output on the console, which would have required a system update as it originally planned. So now they've gone ahead and all these years later removed 8K from the box as part of, kind of clearing up their marketing misconceptions. I'm not here to say they lied or whatever. I don't fucking care. And if you bought, I'll tell you right now, I'm not trying to be mean. If you bought a PlayStation 5 because you saw the words 8K on the box, you were a fool. You're a fool. You're a goddamn fool. Okay? Or you have more money than sense, in which case you're still a goddamn fool. Another thing to note is that Sony is preparing to launch the PS5 Pro console later this year, which is supposed to feature a proprietary DLSS-like solution. And the idea being that they would bust down the internal resolution of the game and then re-render it at a higher resolution so that you are actually looking at basically it's upscaling technology. They're basically trying to do upscaling technology. So lower the resolution of the game and then re-render it with upscaling technology so that it looks better, runs faster without necessarily needing to actually produce it at a higher resolution, which is one of the things that the PS5 Pro console is going to try to do, which means that maybe you will get 8K resolution. I don't know, but if you do, do you want to look at Kratos's pores? Like, I don't want to look at Kratos's pores. I don't want to look at my own pores, let alone somebody else's. And listen, if you want to get into 8K resolution, more power to you. Rocksteady is reportedly working on a Hogwarts Legacy director's cut. The studio was also planning to pitch a new single-player game following Suicide Squad, which flopped. And right now they are working on an update for Hogwarts Legacy. Now, Hogwarts Legacy did just put out a summer update. It's a free summer update. They updated some cosmetics and some costumes and clothing. They added a new quest, which was previously only available on PlayStation consoles. They added a photo mode and a couple other small things. But if I had to guess, this director's cut is most likely going to be something a little more substantial and most likely something that Warner Brothers is going to want to try to sell to pre-existing owners of Hogwarts Legacy. But that also means that if they do a director's cut and they sell it, let's say they sell it for like $30. Hear me out. $30-$40. That also means that they can re-release Hogwarts Legacy back on disc and digitally as a full-priced game with the main game and the director's cut included, something that you also saw with games like The Witcher 3 Wild Hunt and Cyberpunk 2077. A lot of games that end up getting paid expansions eventually get re-released with that expansion included so that they can bring the game back out on retail at full price. And while that hasn't been confirmed, that is 100% what I think is going to happen with Rocksteady. They're going to get this update out and done. They will resell it at full price or sell it separately for people who already own the game. And then Rocksteady will move on to maybe making another single player game, because I doubt they're going to keep working on content for Suicide Squad Kill the Justice League. And finally, the moment you've all been waiting for, Dragon Age Dreadwolf is getting a new name with its first gameplay reveal next week. What used to be called Dragon Age Dreadwolf will now be known as Dragon Age the Veilguard. And the crowd went mild. I think it's a terrible name. They try to explain why it is called Dragon Age Dreadwolf, and I'm more than happy to read that explanation to you. In a blog post, in a blog post explaining the name change, the game's executive producer Gary McKay said the Dreadwolf title didn't fit with the game's main theme, although Solus, the Dreadwolf, will remain the main villain. It's the hero and their supporting party who are the most important element of the game. McKay says, at BioWare, we create worlds of adventure, conflict, and companionship. They're where you're at the center of it all. As fans of the franchise know, every Dragon Age game has delivered a new standalone story set in the world of Thedas. These tales explore epic locales and threats, always thrusting you into a new conflict. Each game also introduces a new hero, such as the Warden, Hawk, and the Inquisitor that you can call your own. You can expect all that and more with the new game, and of course, much like your unique hero, it wouldn't be Dragon Age without an amazing cast of companions, excuse me. Each of the 7 unique characters that make up your companions will have deep and compelling storylines where the decisions you make will impact your relationship with them as well as their lives. You'll unite this team of unforgettable heroes as you take on a terrifying new threat unleashed on the world. Naturally, the Dreadwolf still has an important part in this tale, but you and your companions, not your enemies, are at the heart of this new experience. So to capture what this game is all about, we changed the name as the original title didn't show just how strongly we feel about our new heroes, their stories, and how you'll need to bring them together to save all of Thedas. So they're changing the name from Dragon Age Dreadwolf to the Veilguard. First of all, for those who don't know, the history of Dragon Age, because I am a sucker for context, and I'm sure you are too. The history of Dragon Age kind of goes like this. Dragon Age Origins, which came out in 2009 on PS3 and 360 and PC. Dragon Age 2 came out in 2011. Dragon Age Inquisition came out in 2014. That's available on PS3, PS4, Xbox, PC, all that stuff. And then now we have Dragon Age the Veilguard. And the thing I would say is that, like, to me, this stinks of marketing. This reeks of marketing. And I would also say that this actually doesn't lead me to feel like they're that confident in the game itself. And I'll tell you why. Dragon Age Dreadwolf is just a kind of a cool name. Wolf is a cool name. Dread, Judge Dredd. Everybody likes Judge Dredd. When you put Dreadwolf together, kind of a cool name. The Veilguard. I mean, veils are just kind of like weak and wimpy and just like, what's a veil? What, like to know, like to, yeah, every people say to know a veil. No one wants a veil. Okay. I feel like I'm getting into like a fucking Curb Your Enthusiasm bit here, but like, I don't want a veil. I don't need a veil. I've never had a veil. I don't need one. Okay. And who's going to guard a veil? I don't want to guard a veil. That's just like to know a veil. Dreadwolf, that sounds cool. Even if I don't play as the Dreadwolf, if the Dreadwolf is really the bad motherfucker that they're trying to portray them as, I would love to be the one to be like, yeah, I'm the baddest wizard around and I killed the Dreadwolf, or whatever the case may be. So to me, like, I'm not it reeks of them maybe not actually being as confident in the game as I would have thought. But for those that are, RPG fans, we all know that, the thing about these games are the characters, right? The idea that like you are forming this party of people. They have unique personalities, strengths, abilities. You can talk to them. You can ask them questions about their life. They'll, have opinions on the choices you make in the story. You can fall in love, whatever. But I just don't think the Veilguard is as good of a name as Dreadwolf. But you know what? Maybe it won't matter when that game eventually comes out. All right. We're not going to take a break. We're just going to keep going. We're going to talk about the games that I have been playing, though I do have some things to say about the games I am not playing. So last week I talked about Multiversus and XDefiant. I have proceeded to play a little bit more Multiversus and drop the game entirely. I have also dropped XDefiant entirely, and let me just kind of explain why. So I said like, there's a little bit of, like single player content in Multiversus, and I kind of appreciate that they tried to put some single player content into it. That single player content is so thin and repetitive that I genuinely felt like I was wasting my time doing the same thing over and over again. Obviously, Multiversus is a fighting game, so a big focus is getting there online and fighting with people. Fine, fight away. But if you're going to add single player content, don't make it feel like a naked attempt at a hamster wheel that I've ever seen in gaming. Well, ever seen in gaming is strong. But it's just... it just felt like a grind, man. It really did. Like I went through some of the single player challenges and I had to stop myself and I'm like, what am I doing this for? Do I really care that much? Like if I don't enjoy playing some aspect of this game, am I going to enjoy this game more when I get a cosmetic skin for Jason Voorhees that makes him look like the cyborg from Jason X? Probably not. Would I feel better about this game if I spent money to make Shaggy look different? Would I feel different about the game if I bought the Joker character to play as? Probably not. So I ended up dropping Multiversus, and I'm happy about it because maybe they'll fix it. Maybe they'll make it a more interesting game, but I think there's maybe an afternoon, maybe 2 days tops worth of enjoyment that you can get out of Multiversus. And after that, you're better off with damn near any other type of free-to-play game. And I would say the same thing for XDefiant. If I really was in the mood for a first-person shooter, there are other games that I would play besides XDefiant, and I just simply have no patience for a game that is so half-baked and unfinished despite coming out and having been in development as long as XDefiant was. So that's kind of my take on those two games, is I don't want to waste my time with them, unfortunately. And that's because I've been spending more and more time with Ghost of Tsushima. If I were to guess, if I were a betting man, I would say honestly, there is a chance that I get that game finished in time for next week. I still need to go to Iki Island, which is they did like expansion pack. So if you remember stuff like Horizon Zero Dawn, Forbidden West, or the Last of Us Left Behind sort of thing, like they did one of those, and it's a separate island that you go to. It's a separate open world that you run around, do stuff, story, missions, collectibles, all that stuff. I don't need to do that stuff in order to get the platinum. The platinum is to purely play through the game as it was originally developed. However, I do think that I'm probably not going to replay Ghost of Tsushima anytime soon. And since I'm this close to having completed damn near everything in the game, except the multiplayer stuff, I played a little bit of that multiplayer stuff. It's got like a weird like story premise. It's also class based. So you're, either playing as an assassin or a samurai or a ronin or an archer, and they all have different strengths and abilities. And as you go through these, they're usually like story missions that you're kind of going through. Like there's like set story missions, like not related to the main game that you go through. Seems kind of neat, but right now my focus really is on just trying to get the platinum in Ghost of Tsushima. I'm very close to the end of, if I had to guess, I think I'm pretty close to the end of the main game in Ghost of Tsushima, but you do have companion characters in that game. They don't like roll with you in the game, but there are companion characters. Each companion character has about like I think 7 or 8 different missions, story missions related exclusively to them outside of the main story. So I do need to do a lot of the side missions in the game, a lot of the side quests I still haven't done in Ghost of Tsushima. I haven't collected everything that I need to collect to get the trophy in Ghost of Tsushima. There are still like Mongolian like outposts and fortresses I need to, kind of run through and again, like I still need to finish the main story. But I think my thing is, my plan is that I'm going to do all the side stuff, everything that I possibly can, to get that trophy and to beat Iki Island, and then I will finish the main story in the game. So if I come back, probably the most recent thing that I will have done in Ghost of Tsushima, assuming I finish it, is having beat that main story. Again, really love the story in that game. A very simple sort of hero's journey, 3-act sort of thing. The bad guys, show up in Act 1. The bad guys get the upper hand just when you think things are, going your way in Act 2. And then in Act 3, I think we probably have a pretty good idea of what's going to happen in Act 3, but it's a great story. Beautifully told, gorgeous cutscenes. I'm still absolutely loving my time with Ghost of Tsushima, and I don't think that's going to change anytime soon. Though, like I said, I've really grinded out a lot of that, collectibles. I followed a zillion different foxes to pray at shrines. I'm finding all the different hot springs, composing a lot of haiku over here, which is cool. But Ghost of Tsushima is a fantastic game. I have slowly started to think about what I want to play next after Ghost of Tsushima is done. And there's kind of 3 games that I've been kind of considering. Maybe we'll talk about those games next week on the podcast. And because even if I'm starting to think that maybe I won't be done Ghost of Tsushima by next week, but I'll try. That being said, we'll talk about the games that I'm. No, we'll do it now. We'll do it now. We might as well, because even if I'm not done Ghost of Tsushima, it still gives me time to think about it. So a couple games have come out on different services that I have on Xbox Game Pass. So first of all, I'm thinking, I know some folks that are playing RPGs. Got some family that are playing some RPGs right now. Some like classic turn-based classics may be a strong word, but turn-based RPGs that I've been really curious to kind of get into and check out. I'm not a big turn-based RPG guy, but I am curious to maybe get back into it, play some of it, depending on how I end up liking it. So, Octopath Traveler and Octopath Traveler 2 just came out on Game Pass. Those are the 2D HD games from Square Enix, the Final Fantasy folks. And I'm thinking about checking out Octopath Traveler 2. I really like the look of it. I also like the idea that it is, I think, 7 or 8 different kind of stories of characters kind of mixed into one game. So you don't play the whole game as the same character. You're kind of going back and forth with these smaller stories, which seems kind of neat. Gorgeous art style, really cool look. I really want to check that out. And then just recently, actually as of today, Marvel's Midnight Suns just came out for free as part of the Epic Game Store, like weekly free game thing. Very curious to check that out. I really want to see what that's like. I know that it is a turn-based RPG, as well as something like Octopath Traveler. However, you are playing as Marvel characters. You get to hang out with, Blade and all these different characters and talk to them and have relationships and all that stuff, which definitely seems neat. And then 2 other RPGs, but not quite in the turn-based. Weird West Definitive Edition I just got for free as part of Epic Game Store. No, this is free as part of the Amazon Prime, like free PC game thing that Amazon Prime does. Weird West an RPG, but it is more of an action RPG. And then I also wanted to check out Disco Elysium. I played a little bit of Disco Elysium like back in the day, but it's been some time. But Disco Elysium is more of an adventure RPG. Think something more like, the Telltale games with the character creator and all that stuff. I really want to check that out. So those are kind of like the 4 games between Disco Elysium, Marvel's Midnight Suns, Octopath Traveler, and Weird West Definitive Edition. Those are the 4 games that I'm thinking about getting into after I beat Ghost of Tsushima. But who knows? Something else could come out that blows me away that I need to drop everything and play. Maybe some surprise game announcements as part of Summer Game Fest, which is next week. By this time next week, we will be talking a little bit about Summer Game Fest stuff, which is super, super cool. Let's take a look at that Summer Game Fest schedule one more time. So, I mean, like, Summer Game Fest is like tomorrow, like 2 p.m. tomorrow, Summer Game Fest. Like, be there or be square. So we'll have a lot of Summer Game Fest stuff to talk about next week, okay? So just for a reminder, in case you're curious, Summer Game Fest, 2 p.m. Pacific Standard Time tomorrow. That is Friday, June 7th, 4 p.m. On later that day, June 7th, 4 p.m. Day of the Devs, 5 p.m. You have the Devolver Direct. That is for Friday. Check out more summergamefest.com. I am GnittWitt. I'm going to get ready for Summer Game Fest. I'm going to put my shorts on, and so should you. We'll see you next week. Take it easy.